don't eat dented cans. You'll get the ptomaine poisoning. Ptomaine poisoning.
Don't eat what?
Dented cans.
Tony is cute. My love is pure. Tony is cute. My love is pure.
Show your love for Taquita Love. Comedy is cure.
I'm so happy you took the time out of your busy schedule to come talk to me.
Of course. I mean, you know what? Sometimes your schedule is busy, and then sometimes, as soon as you say yes to one opportunity, another one comes. Just opportunity on opportunity.
I just want to start by saying I was a fan of yours before I became a friend of yours. I knew of you from Chicago, Second City, way back in the day. And then when you came to LA, Second City, I was reintroduced to you. Brandy Denise had a show called, I can't remember the name of it, but it was at Second City. She picked you to coach us. And for both of us, it was like a dream come true. We were like, oh my God, Christina Anthony's going to coach us. And from that moment on, you gave me the reel with what I needed to work on. And then we had a great show. And from that moment on, you've been a mentor.
I call them pace friends.
Yeah.
Friends that you're like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And don't let it make you be jealous, but it's kind of inspiring you. Like, oh, here's something I could be doing too.
Exactly.
Look at what she's doing. It's possible for me. And then, I have my own set of pace friends that I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing, sis. Thank you for showing me the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And we are truly friends.
Yes.
You've been in my house. I've been in yours.
Yes.
Yes. Because y'all be playing games out here in LA. Talking about that's my friend.
Yeah. Don't be existent. But Chicago. Are you from Chicago?
I'm actually from a very small town called East St. Louis.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
It's me, Jackie Joyner Kersey, and I think Miles Davis. So, and me. I don't know if I mentioned me.
Yes.
But yeah, then I moved to Chicago after I went to college.
Okay.
And I think Chicago's the place I've lived the longest. So, yes, I'm from there now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I connected to you through improv, stand-up, sketch, being a fan, pace friend, and just watching you grow and watching you make moves and trailblaze Hollywood. My favorite of all times is watching you play the Aunt D on Mixed Dish.
Yes, Aunt Dee. We love her.
Yes. And girl, you killed it. Period. Point blank. And you know what's great is because it felt like I was watching you. You know, it didn't feel like somebody different. It was like Christina Anthony, but in this time period and in this zone. So I wanted to just ask you briefly, like, your comedy journey up until that moment. And then what is your goal for comedy? I mean, your goal for your career.
Okay. Well, my comedy journey all the way up till I got to Mixed Dish, I think like a lot of people, I was, you have the fine friend, the friend that's always ready to go, and then the friend that play too much. And I guess I was the friend that plays too much. So I, grew up that way. And, like anybody, if you experience like bullying or you're having a hard time in school, like being funny is your way of getting out of it. And so I probably really honed my sense of humor and self-deprecation, through like being a really awkward, nerdy little girl, And then I got to high school and I definitely wanted to like start doing theater. And I remember, kind of doing some plays. I went to a very white school. It was a white Catholic school, and so there was only a handful of black kids there. But there was, we had a theater teacher, and she would put me in plays and be like, oh, you can be the lead of this play. You can be the romantic lead in this musical. And I would just be like, what? This is crazy. She was into colorblind casting, and this was the 90s, know. So she was doing it before it was cool. And then I remember she came to my parents and said, Christina is really good. She could do this. And so she asked them if I could be in another play that was like at a community theater in town. And so I did that. It was fun. And then I think somewhere along the way, I forgot that she had said that about me. And I got to college and I was like, my parents were like, hey, when we went to school, it was segregated. You're the first person to go to college and it's not segregated. And my mother tells a story. I saw Elvis and it was half black people on one side and half white people on the other. And I'm like, baby. And so I think coming from East St. Louis, when I got to college, I was like, I got to find a job that makes good money. I got to pick a major that makes good money. So I just picked, a major out of the hat and worked hard on that.
And what major?
Psychology and statistics, of all things.
Oh, well, girl.
Yeah. And so, I did okay. But, so every now and then I would try to do a play. They would have like, small musicals that you could do if you weren't in the theater program. So I would always do those. They were just like a weekend, Mother's Day weekend or whatever. And so I got out of college and got a job. I had ended up working for Mrs. Michelle Obama.
What?
Yes, I worked at a place called Public Allies, and it was like doing like kind of domestic Peace Corps, domestic social work. And she was on the board, I think. I didn't work directly for her. But I remember when I had to quit, I had to give a letter to her office. And the reason I was quitting was because I wanted to be in this play at ETA Theater in Chicago on the South Side. And I probably didn't need to quit my job to be in this play, but in my mind, I was like, oh my God.
The play ran for how long where you was like, forget
Probably
my
like
job?
6 weeks. But I just wanted to focus on my acting. I just, deep down in my heart, I was like, I really love acting. And so I ended up quitting, and from there I did like a couple of retail jobs. I did some more plays. I think I went over to Jackie Taylor's and I did some work at the Black Ensemble. Okay. Which is a whole nother
Look at
thing
them roots.
learn.
Them roots.
I'm deep in the Black theater arts scene. Good theater acting training I have received. And Jackie Taylor, she would make us do calisthenics while we were singing. And in the end, it really was great training because to sing on stage or to tell a joke later, you can't be out of breath.
Yeah, you can't.
And so I did all that, and then fast forward, I'm in Chicago and I'm liking being in the musicals, but I'm not really like, this isn't quite my thing. I'm not quite in the right place. And there was a workshop, a college friend, Erica Watson, had told me, she was like, this place, Second City, is doing this workshop teaching actors how to do improv. And so I was like, cool. She gave me the address. I went up there. And when I got up to the door of the Second City, I was like, this place looks like a bank. It was like a bunch of old busts of white people.
A bank?
Yeah. I was like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know what this is. So someone found me. They're like, come in here. We're in here upstairs. I did the workshop. It was great. I met someone named Claudia Wallace. She was an actor there at the theater. And there wasn't a lot of Black people there, but I remember they invited me to come back and see a show. I saw Keegan-Michael Key. He was in a show.
From the
Naima
313.
Funk. Yes.
Naima Funk, Joshua Funk.
Yes.
I met them when I started improv at Second City.
Yeah.
And Naima gave me the best nugget. She said, always play to the top of your intelligence.
Always.
Make them figure out. Though you don't have to be the stereotypical stripper or whatever they trying to make you the baby mama. Take them on a journey and where you at.
Yes, yes, always. That's great advice still to this day in any job you have. But yes, she's a legend. Keegan's a legend. And so I remember seeing the show. I loved it. And then I think they, put me in some, they were like, if you want to take some classes. And I think I got a scholarship to take the classes. I took the classes.
Diversity scholarship.
And I think eventually I went on to audition for the touring company. I didn't get in. And then they were like, you need to do a few more classes.
Okay.
And so I did. And at that point, I think I was like, I don't know that I knew I was good at improv and I was good at comedy. But I think it was just learning, like, I probably could have done better at not telling white people, you are racist, when they would do stuff, looking back on it. And so it was there that I really... The producers ended up putting me into a touring company, and I toured for years. Went to, we would play casinos. We would play performing arts centers for 5,000 people. We would play really small basements of, a performing place. It was a lot of different experiences. But that time on the road touring for 3 years, I learned quickly how to be funny in any venue, any city, any arena, no matter how big, how small. When the people got on cowboy boots and it's just, white people in a bar and they're like, the kind of people that kick the door down and be like, are you in there with my wife, Ralph? I learned learned how to make them laugh.
Why you gotta be Ralph?
It just learning. I remember we were in Oklahoma, and I'm like, what am I doing in Oklahoma?
Girl.
And so I really, honed my skills there and learned how to work with an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to the second city. They took me off the road, and I joined the permanent company where you write material that other touring companies use.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of really, it was exciting because that's technically the last step before, Saturday Night Live for people.
Yes.
And so I was very excited. I knew they were looking for like a Michelle Obama. And so Lorne Michaels, I think he came 3 times while I was there. Mm-hmm. I never spoke with him. I never auditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Never got far at all.
Okay.
But I remember thinking, someone told me I was disappointed. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't get a meeting. I didn't get flown out. I didn't get a cocktail with him, nothing. Mm-hmm. And they were like, there's a lot of great people who didn't get on SNL, who are making great TV and doing great comedy. Mm-hmm. Can you pick yourself up and put yourself back together? And, I was like, great, I'll move to Los Angeles. Yes. I heard they're looking for stars.
Yes.
And so I went to Los Angeles with all this momentum. I'm like, baby, I might not be Michelle Obama on SNL, baby, but I'm Christina Anthony and I'm here.
Right.
And yes, that was 2011. And I got a little day job. I started working at this tech company, remote, in my apartment.
Yes, remote work.
It's remote work. Come on. And my coworkers, they're like, oh, what do you, everybody has a side hustle. This girl's like, I make shea butter ointments. And somebody else was like, yeah, I'm also working on getting my pilot's license. I'm like, well, y'all, I'm a comedian.
Yes.
I'm an actress. Mm-hmm. I'm here in LA. I'm going to get blowed up.
Blow me up.
And so I'm like, can you cover me at lunch? Watch my part of the queue. I have to go do an audition. So I'd run to NBC and come back and then get back. I'd be a little late, but I'm like, thanks, guys. And then then a year went by. Mm-hmm. And then another year went by. Yeah. And then another year went by. And another, and another, and another. Fast forward to 2019.
Come on.
I am like, Lord, I hear you. You're like, girl, this is not for you. And I had started dating someone. And I remember I told one of my coworkers, I have an audition. They're like, because you're a comedian, that's going to be on TV? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl, I got you. I probably should have been taking that time to go to the doctor's office or go to the dentist, but I just was like, I was locked and loaded. Yeah. And so, and I mean, like, probably I think I'd been in for like 100 pilots at that point. And so, I was dating someone at the time, and we're married now, but he was, I told him, I said, I absolutely quit. I've enjoyed meeting you, but I will be moving back to Chicago. I know I can get a job. I could direct a second city. Yeah. I could teach. I can probably get a quick little job at one of these theaters, do something. And he's like, can you just try one more time?
Your now husband.
Yes. He's like, try one more time.
Look at that.
So I get one more audition, and it's for Mixed-ish. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're doing a spinoff. They're doing a spinoff of Blackish. Yes. And I had already read Blackish when it first came out, and I was like, there's nothing here for me, So I don't know what you would need me for a spinoff. And that's when they pitched me. They were like, hey, it's going to be the story of Tracy Ellis Ross' character, her growing up in the 80s, and her white grandfather and her white father, and then her black mom, and the person in her life that kind of guides her on her mother's side is her aunt. And they just need a regular black girl. You don't need to do anything but just be you. Yes. And so I went there, and I think I went to the audition. My boyfriend at the time, husband now, he said, do you want to do it on tape here at the house before you go? And I said, no, the way I do things is. Mm-hmm. And he said, ma'am, the way you've been doing things ain't been working. Would you like to try something new? And so I said, okay, sure. He's like, so let's pretend like this is the actual audition. This is before self-taping was like a thing. Okay. And so he's like, we're going to set up the camera. He went, now mind you, he goes to USC. He is a director. Mm-hmm. He went to USC. He is a director. He is a professional writer. And so he's like, we're going to set up the camera, do the lights. I'm like, well, my makeup. He was like, they're going to have people to do your makeup if you get the job. Come on. You focus on the wrong things. Yes. And I said, but my hairdo, and I need my silky jogging suit. And he's
Silky
like,
jogging suit.
you don't need any of these things. What you need to do is be this person.
Yeah.
And we stayed up all night, and I just remember he would make me watch the tape, and he's like, what do you intend to do here? You know, just really worked with me, probably in a way that maybe if I'd had a coach all these years.
And you be coaching people.
And now I'll be coaching people. But it was great. And so I went to the audition, and I remember I got there, and my heart sank as soon as I got there because I saw Tika Sumpter. And I said, oh, no, she is the most beautiful woman in the world. They're going to pick her to be the auntie. And I saw some other people, some, you know, usual suspects.
Okay.
But that one, I honed in on that. I was like, this girl, I had just watched The Have and the Have-Nots.
Girl.
You know, I was like, I know who this is. And now she's trying to do comedy? Oh, no. You know what I mean? You know, they
Why
say,
you
like,
pull it? The bank
yeah,
robber.
they say pretty girls can't sing. And, you know, like, I was like, no, nah. And then I just took a deep breath. And I remember Kenya came out, and they kind of hugged, and then he said, okay. And she stepped outside, and then my reps contacted me, and they're like, they're going with Tika to be the mom.
Okay.
And I was like, what?
Yes.
And they're like, yes. Go in there and audition, but we just want to update you on what the casting is.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, that's a relief. Now, mind you, I saw other famous people there, but I was like, nah,
you got
that ain't
this.
it.
Yeah.
So I go in, I do the audition, and I think at that point, you know, I just did it and I left because I had to get back to my job.
Yes.
My job that I have.
That they were like, you think you finna be famous?
Yeah. And so
Yes.
I get in the car, and as soon as I get in the car, like, my agents call me, and they're like, they love you. Can you stay, or can you go back? Get out the car and go back into the office. So at this point, we're just at Kenya's office. We're not even at the studio. We're just at his office. And so I said, no, I cannot, because they always love me. They have loved me the last 8 years. They have loved me the last 100 pilots. I have got to get back to this job.
Okay.
Right? And so they're like, please don't do this. So I think I called my boss, and I was like, oh, I lost my car keys. I left them at lunch or whatever. And so
Making it work.
I went back. And when I think I actually had driven away. So when I went back, my new audition, they were like, oh, we want to valet park you. And I was like, oh, well, all right.
The quick upgrade.
Quick upgrade. And so I said, okay, how much is this? And they were like, what? I said, well, how much is this? I don't valet park, you know, like. And he's like, so we had a bit of a language barrier. So I just took the ticket, and I'm like, okay. So I go in, and so I see Tika. They're like, come on in. And she's great. She's like, I got the job. Tell me what you need me to do. Which is another way that we need to be. Young people, hear me and hear me clearly. When you get set, you help other people get set. When you get set, here it is. When you get set, you help other people get set, okay? So yeah, so I always remember that too. She was like, I have the job. You tell us what you need us to do.
Look at God.
So I go in there, and it's like, Kenya Barris, Tracy Ellis Ross. I think Anthony Anderson might have been there. The creator of the show, Peter Saji, and then a whole mess of white people. And Anton.
A whole mess.
Yeah. And Anton Cropper, who was our director. And we go in, and we're doing the scene. You know, it's the scenes that I'd already auditioned with. And then Tracy passes me the ball, Tracy Ellis Ross, and she says, would you like to improvise?
Yes. Come on. You've been waiting for this moment.
Yes. And I look at Tika, and she was like, don't do that. And I thought to myself, oh, but you don't know me to trust me.
Right.
This is what I can do. And I said, well, you said you already got the job. Ain't nothing going to happen to you if it don't turn out right. So, yeah, let's do it. So she said, okay. So I threw my paper down, which I did not need to do.
You was like, ah.
And so we did the scene, but then we just kept it more loose, and we started improvising. And then I think I dropped an F-bomb or something on the tape. And this is network television. You cannot do that. But yeah, and so I left, and Kenya asked me, do you have any questions? And I said, will somebody be able to help me with this valet parking? Because I think who's going to pay for that? And he was like, oh, I think somebody here, and some assistant was running to be like, ma'am, we will pay for the valet parking. It's covered. And yeah, I just remember him being like, I want to know if you have questions like about the script, the story, about us. And I'm like, well, why would I have questions? What do you want to talk to me about this for? And I realized they were trying to also sell me on this. Like, will you want to do this? And so I got home. The next morning, I woke up and my whole team was on the phone. The manager, the manager's
just
assistant,
didn't stop ringing.
The agent, the agent's assistant, the West Coast agent, the East Coast agent, the agent under him, the junior agent, his assistant. And so I said, oh my gosh, please don't call me to tell me they loved me, but they're going with this very funny stand-up woman with big breasts, and this is who we want, which was really had been happening a lot. And then I said, and please don't call me to tell me this is not the right project, but they really love me and they're going to look for the right thing. Mm-hmm. And they said, no, Christina, we're calling to tell you, you got it.
Yes.
You got it. And I was like,
so...
what? And you know what I did?
What?
I hung up on them.
You was dead shocked.
I was
like,
so shocked. Well, when you get so many no's, I didn't know how to react to yes. And this is another. Lesson number 2, young people. Be ready for your yes. Don't be so used to rejection that you don't know how to act when someone finally tells you yes.
Yes.
And so I called my mom and dad, and then I called my boyfriend. And, I just was like, thank you, Jesus. I'm so happy. And then I was like, I got to get up and go to work. I still have my job. And my manager calls me back and she's like, did you just hang up on all of us? I'm like, yeah, I was just in so much shock. She was like, great. Well, please get up and get dressed. It starts today in 45 minutes.
Yes.
This is your first day of work.
Come on, Christina.
So lesson number 3, young people. Be ready. You don't know when your time is coming.
Yes.
There was no time for me to research the 80s, black women in the 80s, how to raise children, interracial families in the 80s. There was none of that. They were like, it's go time now. So I get there, and I think I called my boss and told her, hey, I'm sick. And then I went to the shop. I went to the first day, and I just sat down. I remember Gary Cole gave me a fist bump, and I was like, I'm so nervous. He was like, why? You're from Chicago.
A girl,
you'll be fine. And they were like, it's 1984, and we just started. Mm-hmm. And then a couple weeks after that, we had a photo shoot. And I remember I walked up to Kenya Barris, and I said, how long is this going to take? You could hear a pin drop in the room. Mm. And he was like, why? What's going on? And I said, because I have to go back to work. Oh. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I said, I still have my job. He was like, what job is that? I said, I do customer service for this tech website.
Shut up.
He was like, right. And I said, I know like pilots don't get picked up or they replace people. He's like, well, we're doing the photo shoot for it now. I'm pretty sure we're keeping you.
Okay.
I was like, well, that's good. But he said, you know what? Let's get her done in an hour. It was not anything mean. He was completely sincere. Everybody else was just like, how dare she? How dare you? And then before I left, I shot my pictures. We got ready to go. And then he said, just so you know, you're going to probably need to quit that job.
Amen.
We start shooting in like 2 weeks.
Oh.
And then after that, it was 2 years nonstop. Every day, 5:30 in the morning, right? But you got to sometimes it takes so long to get to that point where it will just kind of push you over the edge. And then now, that show, my dream, I finally got my dream job. I was having so much fun. The show gets canceled. Oh, thank you.
You killed all them outtakes at the end. I was like, I will watch all the way to the end.
So much fun. But that's also great writers. I built so many great relationships there. The writers, there were
Jesse
many.
Esparza, I know.
Jesse Esparza
I love him. I love him.
He is everything.
He was on the show, on the audio of my podcast.
A true multi-hyphenate. A talent beyond measure.
They don't know. People just don't. They weren't ready.
But I love that job. And then that job comes to an end. And someone said something really great that I've kept with me now, which is every show is going to get canceled or end in some way, and you start to get, that's what we do at this level. It's like, oh, that show is ending. I'll, move on to something different. Mm-hmm. I don't know when that is or what that is. That's not up to me to determine. God will determine my path. He is my agent.
Okay.
But, now it's just learning how to maintain. How do you ride out the highs and the lows? And what do they say? Just learn really how to ride those lows, because the highs take care of themselves. People will be there to pump you up. But it's like now when I'm, as my uncle would say, in between my opportunities.
In
You know, right
between.
now, just learning how to do those things. And then you're also, I think, the great thing about Mixed Dish, which if you have not seen it, I encourage you to check it out, because I think you'll recognize in my character, Aunt Dee, if you are a Black person, like, an auntie that you grew up with, I now look for projects too. Like, if they want a Black actor in this role, do you need a Black actor, or do you need also my Black mind?
Yes.
My Black body.
Yes.
My Black features. My Black texture of my hair. Those things were
Preach.
really celebrated when I was on Mixed Dish, and that's not always. I think sometimes that was not always the case definitely was not the case when I was at Second City. They were like, we need your Black skin. We need you to look Black, but please don't bring your Black politics. Don't bring your Black POV necessarily. And I think sometimes too, that can also, it makes people kind of wake up and be like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. I just was thinking we could have a Black cashier in this episode.
No, but they don't know you come with so much more.
We all do.
There's nobody like you.
Yes. Demand, and it's okay to demand that, or to wait for those opportunities that are right for you.
Yeah.
So when we're doing a scene in Mixed Dish and someone, they preset your props for you, and we do a scene, and I'm like, can I do that again? And they're like, it was so funny. I was like, yes, but somebody had put my purse on the ground.
Yeah, you would never put your purse on the floor.
Well, no, there ain't no Black woman gonna put her purse on the ground. You're gonna need to reshoot that.
Yes, thank you.
Right?
That authenticity, when I tell you, I felt like you was my auntie.
Realness.
I felt in that time, and it felt real. And it, everything that was culturally represented was done to taste.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, I would say if you haven't seen it, check it out. I think it's a nice walk down memory lane. And it's about so much more than just like a Black mom and a white dad raising biracial people. It's so much deeper than that, because there really are, I think, conversations that we might have been ahead of our time, I suspect, but there's conversations too. I learned so much too about, even in my own upbringing, like even the name of the show, Mixed Dish, I was like, yeah, that's the name of the show. And then I would talk to people, or I'd do an interview, and they're like, yes, so you're calling it Mixed Dish. And I'm like, Mixed Dish, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. When I grew up, we said the word mixed, and that's how you described people. Yeah, light skin Reese, she mixed.
Yeah.
And so just like seeing
Reese.
like,
you and these names.
seeing how the tides have changed.
It's so crazy because you've been preparing for that role your whole career.
20 years. This is my 20th year in show business.
Yes. All of you've been preparing, all that improv, all that sketch, all that writing, all that directing, all that paying it forward. Paying it, girl, you had me and Brandy in your studio, in your office. We was running them lines. We was rewriting those scripts. We was punching stuff up.
Am I a harsh director?
No, you were great. No, you were great. You were on point, but you was like, you know that you love the craft, and you know that you respect the craft, and you know what you're doing. So, I mean, people don't necessarily see that side of people when they are entertaining. But the pay it forward was like, she answered our call. I'm a nurse, and so I do my medical stories and medical mishaps. So in your life, if you had any medical mishaps, any, what do they call it? Like any not wise tales, but like home remedies or any silly stuff medically that.
I actually had a gynecologist fall asleep on me once.
No, don't say that. No.
Okay.
How was that? Okay, no, say that.
So actually, apparently this is more common than people realize. She had just been up delivering a baby all night.
But you got, okay, so there's tools. There's speculums. There's ointments.
We were just in the office having a consultation. So I was not disrobed. I was not, busting it wide open to the sky.
That would be very disrespectful. Like, I'm here and you act like I'm not?
No, we were meeting to see if this would be a good match. Okay. And I'm glad we did the meeting because she fell asleep.
So your reaction to her falling asleep?
I got up and left.
And did she like pass out, snore, head to the ground?
She fell back. I mean, she was older. And I remember too, there were like celebrities in the waiting room, and I was like, you guys, I loved you on that show. How could you go to this woman? I went to the front desk and I just was like,
Did you ask for your copay back?
No, I think I don't know how it got paid, but I definitely was like, Dr. Lisa is asleep back there. And they were like, she's 70 something years old, and she just came off of delivering a baby.
So they were used to it. They were like,
yeah, they were like, are you sure you don't want to wait? I was like, for her to wake up?
right. Like,
No.
how long is a nap for a 68-year-old woman? She just go to sleep, I feel like.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a mishap. But yeah, I will say this, I'm very big into my home remedies.
Yes.
My grandmother has a book of home remedies that made it to the Smithsonian.
Okay, well, tell me about that.
And yeah, so I think my husband, he does not enjoy them. He's like, should we see a doctor? And yeah, I'm definitely like, if something bites you, I'm grabbing the hot sauce.
Hot sauce, Louisiana's.
Hot sauce and a cut? I don't think it matters. I think
Okay.
it's whatever you have on hand. Hot sauce and a cut.
Okay.
That's going to help. Antiseptic.
That seems harsh. Like there's Neosporin is what.
Well, this is the old black people's remedies, right? I think Neosporin is really probably better, but take yourself back to like the 40s and the 50s.
I understand.
I'm trying to think of what's another one that they told me.
I cannot see putting something hot in a cut and making it worse. I mean, alcohol is...
Clean it up. Yeah, when like in those
know back
World
in the
War
days,
II
yeah.
movies, white men are always on the battlefield and they're like,
drinking alcohol and
give me
pouring
the
it
alcohol.
out.
Yeah, and they pour it right on there. And they're like, you're going to get through this. If they can do that for their half cut, about to fall off leg,
they
I can
do,
certainly do this for this small cut.
A little cut. Okay, hot sauce.
Yeah.
What else? What other remedies?
I mean, and then some of it's preventative care, right? Just like don't eat dented cans. You'll get the Ptomaine poisoning.
Don't eat what?
Dented cans.
Dented. Oh, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know about toenail poisoning.
Ptomaine poisoning.
Ptomaine.
I think it's called.
What is okay?
Ptomaine.
I know. I just know that if anything is dented, that's metal, and there's food in it or whatever,
Right.
that we can't eat it. Like
Yeah.
it'll be like that. You'll get. Yeah, you feel like I feel like we was told our arm will fall off.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's
You'll
just
get like some kind of crazy poisoning.
Okay,
so
so we
don't-
agree on that. We
Yes,
agree on
that's
that.
real.
Yeah.
Now I think the cans now are like better.
No, they still be dented. If they dented, I'll mess with it.
Yeah, yeah. Get your little refund off the delivery service. I do. I'm like, hey, you brought me a dented can. I'm gonna need a refund.
Oh my god! Oh, so this is what life is. It's like now I get delivery service.
Well, you don't want to catch the COVID and then miss out on your paycheck.
You don't. You're right. I'm so happy to
Definitely.
see you. I can't wait till we have another like girls powwow, just like
Yes.
coffee, and I got some catching up to do. You know. Tell us where we can find you and what you have coming next.
Okay. First of all, I'm so glad you were here today. I hope you found something that helped you and inspired you. You can catch me on old episodes of Mixed Dish on Hulu. You know, I get a little check for that every time you do that. So thank you for your blessing in advance. You can catch me I'm on the Rookie Feds.
Yes.
On ABC. You can check that out with Niecy Nash. It's a lot of fun. And then if you're into murder mysteries, you can catch me on Netflix on The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. Let me know if you can solve that mystery. That came out a while ago. And then coming up next, I don't think I can say just yet,
Okay,
like the
all right,
next thing
all right.
that's coming out.
But she got stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, y'all. Christina Anthony.
Thank you for having me. This was so special.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
Tony's a cute, my love is pure. Tony's a cute, my love is pure.
Show your love for Taquita Love. Comedy is cure.
So as always, you want this. I had one dude was like, hey, you think you could bring a brother the clear machine home? Not the clear machine. He was like, yeah, ma, you know, the reviver. Clear.